Hi there, this is Rusticdavid. I make rustic and recycled wood furniture. On my channel, I'm going to show you how you can do it too, using simple and basic hand tools. In today's video, I'm going to show how we can join two pieces of wood in a cross where they'll both be at the same level. This is called a cross lap joint. So let's get into it. So before we begin, I'll just explain some of the tools you're going to need. A pencil, a 90-degree angle, a hand saw. This is a back saw or a tenon saw, but you can use whichever saw you have. To be quite honest with you, it depends on what you're building. I'm aiming this at beginners. You want to get some bits of wood joined together, so don't sweat it. Whatever saw you've got is good. A chisel, a mallet, and I'm going to be using my bench hook, which has had plenty of use. But this is a very simple way to hold the work on the table. It's very simply 3 pieces of wood screwed together, and it can hook onto the edge of the table and secure the wood while we're sawing. Okay, let's begin. So these are the 2 pieces of wood that I want to join in a cross, for whatever reason that may be. So the first thing I want to do is find out the position where I want them joined. This is just an example, so I'm just going to roughly eyeball it in the middle. And I'm going to take my square, hold it firmly on the workpiece, and mark a line. Then I'm going to bring up my other piece up to the square and mark another line, just like that. Now I need to do the same on this piece. Now I have one side of this wood here, it's not been planed and it's a bit rough, so I'm going to flip it over and work on this side. Hold my square, draw a line, bring my workpiece up to the square and make another line. And now from these 2 areas I want to remove half of the material, half of the thickness. So now I'm going to mark a line here and here using my square. I hope you can see this. I'm going to line up this line and this line. Make a line. And make a line. And the same on this side. Maybe you can see this better like this. Mark a line. And mark a line. Okay, so now you can see I've marked my lines around the workpiece like this, and now I need to mark half of the thickness of the material here and here to remove this piece. This material is 18 millimeters thick. It's like 3/4 of an inch or something like that. So I need to mark half of 18, that's 9 millimeters down here. Now you can use a ruler or a tape measure. And I'll mark here 9. And mark here 9. And I'll just join those 2 marks up like this. see that nicely. And this is what I'm going to remove. And I'm going to do that on this side and also on this piece, on both sides. Now, if you're building something in the garden and you're not looking for total accuracy, or if you've got quite rough pieces of wood for doing rustic furniture and they're not 100% the same thickness everywhere, you can just roughly gauge these things like this. I'm going to use my finger as a guide and just mark a line like this. This is not fine furniture, we're just beginning. Every cut that we make, we'll get better at it. So this is also a way. I'll show you again on this piece. This is the side I need to remove. I'm going to measure 9 millimeters. Use my finger as a guide. Put it on the 9 millimeter mark. Just mark it like this, and I can do the same without moving anything, like this. And hopefully you can see that. It looks pretty central, and I can slowly work my way down to this line and keep testing the joints. So this is for beginners with basic equipment. Okay, you can do this with a pencil, a square, a saw and a chisel. Now the work pieces are marked out, I'm going to start sawing. I'm going to make a cut along here and along here until this line, here I didn't mark it, until this line I'm going to make a cut. And I'm going to use my bench hook. I'm going to pull you in a bit closer. I want to start with my saw next to the line on the waist side of the cut. So I'm going to use my thumb or finger just to direct the saw. And start with a gentle push. Lie the saw down slowly next to the line. And the line remains. And the same goes here. The line remains, and I cut until this line, so a little bit further, keeping the saw at 90 degrees. Now I need to do the same next to this line. So again, I'm going to use my thumb to guide the saw, or my finger, next to the line. Now, when you're beginning with the saw, pick the weight up a little bit. Don't let it all sit on the cut. It'll be very hard for you to begin, and you might tear out on the corner. So try to be light. Slowly drop your elbow next to the line. Just checking that I got to the right place here, not too deep. Now I'm going to take my chisel and I'm going to put it just slightly above this line here. And give it a tap, pointing up. Again here. Keep the chisel pointing up. Now if you've got a vise, you can hold it in a vise. I'm doing it all in the bench hook, assuming you don't have a vise and you don't have any clamps, so you can use a bench hook. It's easy to make. You can see the grain split down quite deep in here, but still we're on the saw line, so we're okay. Now I'm just going to gently pare it away. That means just cut it off the top here. Now a chisel should be sharp, and I know for beginners this is always a problem. So if your chisel's not sharp, I'll show you some tips that might help. Not sharpening your chisel, but getting the work done with a blunt chisel. And just to finish off this joint. There's an eye in there, look. So this causes the grain to run off in different directions. Now I'm just going to cut out this material down to my saw lines and to my pencil lines. But I keep turning the work around. I don't go all the way through to the other side. I don't want to tear out the fibers. There we are. There's one half cut. Now let's do the second half. Okay, if your chisel's not very sharp and you're having difficulty removing this section of wood, it's splitting and it's not cutting with the chisel. So what you can do, go back to the saw. Now it doesn't matter about these lines if they're particularly square or not. But what you're going to do, you're going to make a series of cuts. And these cuts, you'll take them all down to this line. And this is going to shorten the fibers, it's going to shorten the grain. And it'll be much easier to take out these small pieces with less problems of it going down deep into the wood that you want to remain. Now we want to remove the material. So again, I start with my chisel above the line, aiming up with the bevel, this angle up, like this. And you see all these little pieces come out much easier now. hope you guys can see this well. So there you have it. We've removed the material from both halves, as you see, and now we're going to put them together. You might have to trim them a little bit, take a little material off until it closes up tight. There we are, that all closes up very nice. Just bring that a little closer so you can see. Thanks ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe, ring that little bell so that you'll get notifications. I've started uploading much more videos recently, so I hope you enjoy them. And happy woodworking. Thanks again, bye.